Rhinoceros woman, who nobody wants and everybody used. They say you're crazy, 'cause you're not crazy enough to kneel when told to kneel. Hey big woman, with scars on her head and scars on her heart that never seem to heal. I saw your light, and it was shining. According to the Sentencing Project, in 2017, the imprisonment for African Americans stood at 92 per 100,000 and was nearly twice the rate of imprisonment for white women, which stood at 49 per 100,000. There's a true misjustice when black men and women do not get the same offers available to keep them out of prison that others do. 2/3 of incarcerated women are women of color. Girls of color who are victims of abuse are more likely to be processed by the criminal justice system to be labeled as offenders than white girls. Victims of abuse tend to show characteristics such as defensiveness, nervousness, and tend to be more fearful.
To sustain myself out here in society. And as a woman, I had to think about my safety in a way that a man wouldn't have to. I didn't know what to do. I was alone. I was scared. I had no one.
Raising good women starts with raising young women right. African American girls are 3.5 more times likely to be arrested over white girls.
I didn't even realize until I saw this. Black women spend longer times in jail, often for crimes that they didn't commit, most times because they don't have money for bail. It also reports that 60% of women in jail have not been convicted, but they lose jobs and housing while they're waiting for trial, and this increases the poverty cycle.
When I got out of prison, I needed to be rehabilitated. I needed help. You see, in prison, you're broken, mentally, emotionally, and physically. That's what prison does. It breaks people.
And the marshal laughed at me and he said, "You're property of the federal government. You don't ask questions."
They didn't have a place to stay. They didn't feel safe. They couldn't make money. They felt like I felt. And that's when I realized this is a real big problem. And that's where Sister Hearts really started. Let me see.
Strong women, Amazon, wear your scars like jewelry because they were bought with blood.
It's just keeping them in this system to make money.
And when we are convicted, we're jailed at unfair rates. A study by the Institute of Women's Policy Research reveals that black women and girls are traditionally over-sentenced for crimes that they may commit.
In San Francisco, black women get pulled over for traffic offenses 17 times more often than white women, and they are arrested at a rate 13 times higher than women of all other races combined.
When I didn't feel there was any good in me at all. And the reason for that is because I was sitting on that side where you guys are today, not so long ago. So during my many days behind bars, I had to go inside myself and find something good about me because I felt like trash.
2.5 months away from my kids. I lost my apartment. I lost my job.
80% of them are mothers.
13 years out of my life I spent behind bars. And over half that time I spent in solitary. They used shame to keep my mind caged. They said I wasn't gonna be nothing. I wasn't nothing. I wasn't shit, okay? As an ex-offender myself, I'm here to prove no matter what you going through, you're gonna all rise above it.
Susan Burton created a nonprofit organization called A New Way of Life to work with formerly incarcerated people to keep the recidivism rates low and the many men and women on the path to rehabilitation. As a society, the best thing we can do to help black women once they leave prison is to support them and show them that they have people who are advocating for them and wanting to see them at their best and only at their best. Miriam Henderson Uloho created Sister Hearts as a way so recently incarcerated women would have jobs and shelter because she knows how most don't once they get released. They called you ugly and you hid yourself behind yourself and wallowed in their shame. Rhinoceros woman, this world is blind and sleight of mind and cannot see how beautiful you are. I saw your light and it was shining.